Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developpreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
And we're live.
Where is John this week? Somebody guess based on that randomly white, weird background that he has. And he's frozen.
Am I unfrozen?
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. I'm gonna guess you are in an apartment on the Earth.
True.
Way to narrow it down.
Yes.
I'm in Switzerland, doing what all good Swiss do, which is eating muesli. So, you know.
La Zitera.
And fondue. It's kind of crazy actually. Like you think like Switzerland, oh, fondue, right? And chocolate. And you think, oh yeah, that's just like a stereotype. And until you drive by cheese automat and you realize that there are actually vending machines with fondue cheese in them.
No way.
Yes. Like along the road, and there's big signs like you cannot, just in case the stores are closed because it's Sunday and you do not have your, go ahead and get it from this vending machine. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But
in what form does fondue come out of vending machine?
Well, in
It
shredded,
sprays you in the face with a hot molten cheese.
pop under there. You put
Yeah,
your
the sign flashes. Hold your bread up.
Yes.
If you don't get it up in time, you will be melted.
Put hands under.
Place mouth here.
But Switzerland's pretty cool. It's pretty crazy. It's I think it's the most beautiful like countryside, like terrain, like environment that I've seen of all the trips I've done. It's just like the mountains and the lakes are amazing. The Lake Geneva is just ridiculous. It's just, you wouldn't believe it. It's like the Caribbean. You know how you see the Caribbean? It's all transparent. The entire Lake Geneva is that. It's like turquoise. It's very, very like you wouldn't like. You look at it and you're like, did they dye this lake? But yeah, very expensive in Switzerland too.
I need to travel. I'm so burned out. I actually posted to Facebook. I was just like, does anyone have a place where I can go get away? I just don't have the money for a hotel for like 3 nights. And it turns out a friend of mine who lives in Salt Lake is out of town for another week. And she's like, yeah, just come crash at my condo. So that's what I'm doing next
Nice.
Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
I'm just going to go crash at her place and just kind of take some downtime.
Cool, that's good.
But yeah, it would be so fun to just be able to do that, like go to Switzerland or back to Italy or something and just get some downtime that way. Not worry about who's yelling at who on the internet.
I stopped worrying about that by pretty much not being on Twitter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would solve the I'm really tired of people screaming at each other on the internet.
Yeah,
I just ignore Twitter.
It has had a dramatic effect on my ability to ignore all the stupid.
Yeah, you either have to ignore it, like block it out so you don't see it, or you have to observe it from the strategic viewpoint of how can I use this, right? It's like if you're watching a movie, you don't get stressed out about like the stupid characters in the movie saying stupid things, doing stupid things.
Well,
right?
maybe you don't, but that's...
No, don't go in there. Oh,
But you
that's
can disconnect
what-
yourself.
Yes.
I mean, but that's the other way to handle it too, I think, is
Yeah.
because it's like you're not going to control these actors in this movie anymore than you're going to control these actors in this this drama called Mothership Earth. Whatever it is. But,
Yeah, I think the thing that frustrates me the most is just that nobody actually wants to talk about this stuff. They just want to yell at each other.
Pretty
And
much.
It's so counterproductive.
yeah, but that's always the way it's going to be, right? It's never, except for I do have this a solution for it, which is I don't know if I should. I guess I should talk. I guess I could talk about it because it doesn't matter, if we talk about it. It's not like Fight Club, but I was just telling Josh that I think I'm going to form a secret society.
It's literally Fight Club.
Yeah. But I actually think secret societies are a solution because if you think about it, like all the secret societies, when Christians were being persecuted back in the day by the powers that be, and so what they did was they basically like went underground, and anytime there's been like major oppression where the majority or some kind of kind of either social stigma or more authoritarian type of government came into place, secret societies formed in order to undermine it. And so I think we need a secret society of anti-politically correct, anti-gender neutral, whatever fill in the blank.
There is no need for that secret society because there's plenty of assholes out there just being assholes about it.
Well, no, but you need a secret society so that they're not persecuted and so that they can basically just undermine like diversity and affirmative action and equal employment, hiring opportunities, all that crap. They can just basically like block it out. So I'm thinking about forming a secret society and the Fight Club, but first
and the Fight Club.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think that's a solution. I think that's how we take it down from them, because you're not going to change any of that stuff just by, and because like you said, there's no discussion happening. It's just both sides just think they're absolutely right. And
Well, that was the thing, and I posted that to Twitter. Actually, I was like, I think the thing that bothers me most about the Google Manifesto is that as soon as it came out, everyone said, "Run to your corners and throw rocks."
Yeah,
Nobody actually talked about it.
But again, like something like that is just. I think the way to look at it is like you can get emotionally involved in it, but you have to realize that like you're not going to affect it one way or the other. Not really, but you can look at it from an opportunistic viewpoint of what can you I mean, if you're like especially in your particular arena, right, Chuck, you are a media person, right? So this is good. This is like good because when people are talking and fighting and throwing rocks from their corners, it's discussion that people want to listen to, and let other people get their roll in the mud and fight, and you just be the ref. You just be the referee. You're just like, hey, come in and and you bring in controversial people and you bring in controversial topics and you let people fight it and battle it out, and that's more views for you. And people that think they're doing some good by bashing other people on the head, they can do what they want to do, but some kind of discussion's happening.
Congratulations, Chuck. You are now Jerry Springer.
Yes.
I guess that could be interesting, though, to bring some people in and just, from both sides and just say, hey, look, are you interested in having a debate about it or a discussion about it?
Yeah. I mean, if you're just thinking of it from the perspective of that, I think that's the way to, you're going to have your own opinion on it, and it's fine, express an opinion on it, but don't get like wrapped up in the opinion of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I know there's a lot of heck, I was just thinking like, I'm going to insult a whole broadband. I'm going to try to insult an entire continent right now, but Europe is a bunch of rule-following pricks. It's a broad generalization. I mean that in a kind of funny way.
In love.
But what I mean is like, you go around, okay. What I mean by that is essentially this. It's like, I could be like, those fucking assholes are like, really seriously? Like they dig through your trash and figure out whose trash this belongs to, because you can't throw away trash without being authorized, right? And that's a true thing that they do in Switzerland. But you could be all upset about this kind of stuff and be like, I can't believe they do this, and like, or you could just be like, this is interesting, right?
Or you could just be like the realization of, oh, well, they have different cultural norms here. I mean, that's really what it is. No, it's not. It's that those kinds of things are in place for whatever reasons. Just like the way in the U.S. we have things in place for whatever reason. It's a difference in history. It's a difference in events. It's a difference in governing policy. It's a different way of doing things. Most of the time when people complain about other cultures, it's because they don't understand that culture because they're not from that culture.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I'm talking about any kind of rules. I'm talking about America included, right? I mean, we do plenty of stupid stuff as well. But what I'm saying is that like it's just a different way. Like the rule following is, I don't know where I'm actually going with this, but what I'm saying is that like the rule following is the thing that I'm vehemently opposed to. But it's entertaining to watch people follow rules all the time. Maybe I mean, I pick on Americans.
You say that, but you do the same thing at home without realizing you're doing it.
Well, to some degree, but I kind of break a lot of rules. I try to, but you know what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is essentially like, it's like it's entertainment. It's funny, right? It's like watching ants in a what is it, an ant farm. Like, you don't have to worry. They're just ants in an ant farm. Like, the whole world is just ants in an ant farm. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's people are running mindless programs. It's like Derick said. I mean, Derick is absolutely 100% correct. 1,000 years of cultural, historical circumstances and geography and languages have caused this particular set of circumstances to create these programs that people just execute and run. The same thing is happening with the left and the right in the United States, and everything that's going on drama-wise is most people are running, 99% of the world is running a program.
Pretty much.
So it's fun. It's funny. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe my mucilix is moldy.
Just don't throw it away. That's
yeah.
John's ingesting neurotoxins as we speak.
Or a healthy dose of penicillin. One of those.
I think it's a neurotoxin. Yeah. All I'm saying, like, as much as I'm trying to be, funny about it, is just that if you realize that most people in most life and most things that are happening are really just their programs. Like, people are not living life at a conscious level, actively conscious of what they're doing and the rocks they're throwing and what they're saying. And if you can one step removed outside of it, instead of being in the ant farm, look at the world from looking at the ant farm, then up in it doesn't emotionally affect you, and you can benefit from it or be entertained by it without being harmed by it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you carry the world on your shoulders, right? What's that? Hey, Jude, don't be afraid.
Something like that.
Something like that.
So I've had a interesting week to suddenly change topics.
Okay.
Started work with a client last week. I think I mentioned that last week. Very quickly went from a discussion on Tuesday to a contract on Wednesday to starting work on Thursday. This week I had pretty much a full week, Monday through Thursday. And I told them I don't work on Fridays because I have this meeting and then I have a lot of family things in the afternoons. And they're like, yeah, okay, no problem, which is cool. It's a very different sort of situation for me. I was brought in as an architect, which in my mind says, oh, you're going to write a lot of code and you're going to build out infrastructure and you're going to do stuff like that, documenting it, making sure the team understands how to do things.
You just described no architect I've ever met.
I know.
Yeah. Apparently,
I think
apparently I have a very apparently I have a very skewed opinion of what an architect should be and should do. My opinion on an architect is you write code. You architect things, which means actually building stuff so that you can tell other people how to build things. And of course, I'm not a coding architect. I'm a non-coding architect, which has been challenging for me. It's a role that I'm not used to. I haven't done this kind of stuff in about 10 years. So it's a challenge. It's been fun though. I've been able to pick up on the core business of the client that we're working for pretty quickly. The model of what they're doing is fairly common, but then the specific business rules that they have are fairly complex in terms of access and authorization and stuff like that. So it's a fun project overall. I am thoroughly impressed with the team of people that I'm working with the not the client specifically, but the company that I'm working for. They have a pretty amazing team of developers and designers and requirements gatherers and all those different roles on the team. It's about 10 people total, I think, including a couple of guys in the Ukraine that are doing a lot of development work. Somebody from South Africa, somebody from Romania, somebody from, just all over the world. So it's pretty cool, getting involved in a team this widely distributed and seeing how well they work together and becoming a part of that. But it's also challenging because while I have the title and role of architect, I don't have a lot of authority. So I'm somewhat stuck being just a technical writer, but also with some of the responsibilities of an architect being, I have to understand what's being built. I have to understand the business rules. I have to understand the technology. I have to marry the two together. But at the same time, I'm doing this while the developers are actually writing the stuff. So it's, I have a tendency to get ahead of myself in terms of what I'm writing down compared to what is actually being built. So it's a challenge for me in that respect to constantly stay up to date with what's going on with the actual team, with what they're actually building compared to my over-engineered, over-architected thoughts. So it's a good thing for me overall, and it's paying the bills. It's not paying the hourly rate that I wanted. They're paying about 75% of the hourly rate that I wanted, but it's going to pay the bills for sure. It's going to run for an incredibly long period of time if I want it to. I'm signed on for a month as a trial. Will probably run to the end of September or October. And then beyond that, there's a lot of opportunity because the client, a major media conglomerate in Hollywood, is asking for a lot of work from the team. So there's a lot of potential opportunity here. Nice. And then beyond that client, I have a second new client, which is going to be like 6 hours of consulting time, just phone calls and design review and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. They're going to prepay for 6 hours of my time. And then we've negotiated a pretty good hourly rate to go beyond that if they need extra hours. And then to top it all off, the thing that I'm really excited about, but also incredibly nervous about because of the amount of time that I have to put into it, a very large... What's that?
I said your Broadway musical debut.
Yes, it's going to happen right here on camera. It's my Broadway musical debut. Now, a very large organization in Cupertino, California, having something to do with fruit of some sort, gave me the budget I asked for to do Docker training for them.
Whoa,
yes.
Nice. I'm Googling to try to figure out what this company is now.
Yeah, no, it's nobody important. You've never heard of them.
Banana computing.
You're gonna train Bananarama.com?
I am going to train Bananarama. They are no longer an 80s pop band. They are now software developers.
Nice. I do keep on thinking of this Ukrainian guy saying, "I didn't build it. He built it. This guy, he did it. Him, not me. Him."
I think I missed a reference there somewhere.
Because it's team, because it's and because he's not architecting the code. So
right,
if they use him for a fall guy, then he architected the system.
That's my role. In the client's eye, in the client's eyes, I am the guy that gets blamed for us choosing MongoDB when they have explicitly told us no MongoDB.
That is the role of every consultant.
Yes. So how did this deal with Kiwi come along?
Through my podcast interview with Chuck on JavaScript Jabber talking about Docker.
Woo!
Yeah. So yay for that.
I love
he reached out to me. This was a couple of months ago now. Reached out to me via email after hearing that episode. He'd done his research on me on the Watch Me Code materials that I have, my blog posts and stuff like that. So he knew a lot about what I was talking about and what I could do from that perspective. And he's the project manager or team manager, one of those two, for a reasonably sized team, 20 or 30 people, working on the JavaScript, the front-end JavaScript for one of the major platforms at this company. And he's going to stuff about 30 people into the room from a few other departments. I've requested that he put some people in there that will be able to pick up the technology quickly, people that have already got some experience with it, so that they can help out with the hands-on labs, because there's going to be a lot of people asking a lot of questions, and I won't be able to get to everyone. Nice. With 30 people in there. But yeah, that's probably going to be. I'll probably be there mid-October. I think I gave him a dates of like the 12th and 13th of October would be my first available date, because I need time between now and then to actually get the class off the ground, if I can say class and ground not at the same time. Get the class off the ground in terms of the content. It's mostly going to be the same material that I produced for Watch Me Code, but it's going to be organized a little differently. It's going to be set up for hands-on experience, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to have pre-built steps along the way, various projects to look at, stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be a very, 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 very nice paycheck on top of what is really going to be nice paychecks from the client work that I have.
Plus, you can put that little banana logo on your.
Yeah, I'm going to put an eggplant on my resume now.
I got to say though, you did take the wind out of my sails, because I also was contacted by a company from Cupertino that is also a fruit, to do some diversity and sensitivity training for them. I'm still in negotiations with it. So negotiations are a little bit rough. I'm not going to lie. So, right now, they've told me to fuck myself. But
oh man, Derick, that's pretty awesome. So, wow, yeah, like
when do I get my finder's fee?
Pretty nice. That's a pretty nice feather in your cap. Is this how proprietary will this be? Like, can you record it?
I don't know. I haven't got to that discussion yet. I know that's going to be part of the discussion here pretty quickly. He is talking about more and more and more departments needing this training.
Nice.
So it's either going to turn into them recording it and me charging them to do that, or me recording, or me going back out there at some point in the future.
Nice.
I would prefer to have me go back out there at some point in the future, quite honestly. But the screencasts that I already have are going to be a part of this deal, so they're going to have that material to fall back on, screencasts and ebooks and all that.
Nice.
I'll provide a little bit of email support, that kind of stuff. But that'll cut about a third of my current debt stack just from that one event, and then
Nice.
I should be able to, with my contract work, I should be able to eliminate all of my current debt well before Christmas, probably by November.
Nice.
That I mean, that you're gonna have basically a class that you've developed too,
Yes.
that you could resell,
Right.
and just show up and deliver it. So that's pretty
Exactly.
sweet.
And that was the approach that I took when I started the discussion with this guy. I was very upfront with him. Told him, yes, I can do this training. This is the training that I've done before with Backbone. This is how I approach it, all that kind of stuff, to give him evidence of my capabilities. But then I told him, look, this is going to be a brand new class for me. So give me a little bit of time to think through the structure, to organize the material from an outline perspective. And at the same time, I was talking to a couple of actual training companies that were interested in talking with me. They were only offering like $1,500 a day for the classes, which,
What?
I mean, yeah. Sorry, I'm not going to do
Try
1,500.
10x that.
Exactly. Exactly. So I used the conversations with those training companies to help me get a better understanding of what I needed to have in place to sell training.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I produced a reasonably in-depth outline for what the course will contain, the when and where people will do hands-on exercises and all that kind of stuff. And I posted that up on my DerickBailey.com site. And so the guy that I've been talking to at Pineapple Inc. has been using that page to help justify, using that plus the Watch Me Code stuff plus everything else to help justify giving me the budget that I asked for.
Nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm also really nervous because brand new class, brand new course. So I got to build all this material. Plus working 30 hours a week for that existing client. So
If you would like, I can put you in touch with Reuven Lerner from the Freelancer Show. He's done a ton of training for companies like Cisco, and there are a few other big ones. I don't remember off the top of my head what the other ones are, but he's done it for several large companies. HP.
Good.
Right.
We can only talk in code.
Oh, sorry.
yeah, so
Buzz you.
But yeah, so he might have some ideas as far as how to approach the training and what these bigger companies generally like to see with this kind of a training too, just as far as organization goes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. If you could get me in touch with them, that'd be great.
Yep. I just want to know if your exercisers are going to work on this fruit company's Dell laptops.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm actually going to have to buy a brand new, Dell Windows, what is it, Surface Book Pro in order to be compatible with their systems.
Yeah.
But no, I legitimately am actually going to have the money to replace this dying laptop finally. This will be
Nice.
My wife, a couple of weeks ago, I was complaining about my laptop again because there are some legitimate issues with it at this point in terms of compatibility with some things and software and stuff. And she looked at me and said, just go buy the upgrade. Go replace it. This is your work. You need this. Go buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said no. I don't know who I am anymore. My wife told me to buy brand new, latest and greatest technology, get the best there is, and I said no. I swear, man,
do it in
depression
November.
is the weirdest thing.
Do it in November.
In November?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
November?
it's when you get your credit cards paid off.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm all this money is going to be going. There's a possibility that I might buy it before going out to do this training, but realistically, I don't think I need to. So yeah, it'll probably be November, December-ish. They just announced their model year upgrades like a month ago as well. So getting the 2017 model will be it's going to be a huge leap. Like when I upgraded from my 2010 MacBook Pro to the 2012 MacBook Pro that I have now. See, I already told you I have to buy a Surface Pro for this company, so I can talk about my MacBook. So when I upgraded from the 2010 to the 2012, my video rendering time went from 2 hours down to 20 minutes.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I expect the upgrade from the 2012 to the 2017 to be approximately the same scale. Even though when you look at the base numbers, it doesn't seem that much different. The actual performance is incredible compared to what my current laptop is. I should be rendering a 20-minute screencast, on ultra high settings in 3 or 4 minutes.
Nice.
Sweet.
So that'll be pretty
you
nice.
brought up mental health, and I'm kind of curious because the burnout is one thing that I've been talking about, I think, for a few weeks. But on Monday, I don't know what the clinical definition of a panic attack is, but I was so freaked out I couldn't breathe.
Yeah, that's a panic attack. Or an anxiety attack.
For about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was bad, and it was so freaking scary.
You start shaking. You start, you can't breathe. You're hyperventilating. You have this intense desire to run away, like literally run out the door and run down the block and get away from everything, or to either that or to punch the next person that you see or something like that. Often it's
punch them and then run. That's the best.
Punch them and then run, which is definitely fun. I highly recommend that method.
There you go. But yeah, it was. Yeah. I just wanted to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, things kind of all came to a head. I think I mentioned last week that we don't have health insurance anymore,
right?
Because of all the financial stuff. It's a huge expense. It's almost as much as our mortgage. And anyway, but yeah, I freaked out because we didn't have money. The air conditioning wasn't working, and I didn't see how we were going to be able to afford to fix it. Yep. And they were threatening to shut off the power, and I didn't have money to fix that. And I just freaked. I just lost it, and I figured it out, and we got some money in, but
right.
Yeah, I guess the thing is like, it makes me want to get up and fight more than it makes me want to freak out.
Mm-hmm.
But and I know that freaking out isn't going to help anything, but I don't know how to not freak out.
The big thing, honestly, is to stop fighting, stop trying to be in control of the situation. Just to realize that, you're going to give it the effort that you can, the best effort that you can. And then whatever happens is going to happen, right? It's going to happen. And whatever happens, no matter what happens, it's really not going to be that bad, right? I mean, as bad as what you think it is, it's not going to be that bad, right? You don't have, we think that we have control over situations. We don't. We have control over our actions and our mindset and what we choose to feel about, interpret a situation. But the ultimate outcome, not really. So I mean, that's the biggest thing is I think if you're trying to control the situation, and that's what's going to cause you this stress. It's also going to cause you to not operate as efficiently as possible. Just come up with a plan, what you're going to do, what you're going to execute, do the plan, and then you got to leave fate to fate and just say, hey, whatever happens, whatever, problem that you come along, you're going to solve or fix that problem or deal with that problem, and that's just it. Because I mean, I'm saying this from experience, having gone through debilitating panic attacks for like several weeks, and almost causing my whole career and job and everything to be sacrificed in the process. And also just from being a person that was very much on the side of stability. And I think I've said it before, but one of the big things that like a Tony Robbins quote that really impacted me, that changed my whole outlook on life, was when he said that the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably live with. And I spent a lot of my life trying to eliminate as much uncertainty as possible. And all that did was string me up so damn tight that I basically had a nervous break. So I don't live like that at all anymore. Now it's like, whatever happens, it happens, right? I mean, I'm not saying that I don't ever get upset, but the amount of like level at which I go above a 3 on the scale of 1 to 10 and in the upset scale is it's rare. It's rare that I go above a 3 anymore, just because I'm willing to let whatever happen at this point, because it's just a better way to live. That's the best advice I can give you. I know that's easier said than done, but
definitely. If you can practice that, that's the thing. Being able to practice that, you can't wait until it's like any other skill set. When you're under fire, under the gun, under pressure, you're not going to pull out the latest and greatest tools and techniques that you heard about. You're going to fall back to what you know is tried and true, and you're comfortable with because you've done it 1,000 times. That's the way people operate. That's why the military trains the way they do. It's why they make people run 90 miles with 150 pounds on their back, because they know that in the absolute worst of conditions, they are probably not going to face that strenuous of a need physically. So people can fall back to, I'm running 20 miles with 25 pounds worth of gear. Yeah, that's no problem because I train harder than that. And so you need to be able to practice this, just let it go in smaller, less dire situations. Stuff that would normally annoy you or bother you or make you upset. Practice reducing the amount of time between I'm getting upset, I'm just going to let it go. It may take a minute the first time to realize, I'm getting upset and I just need to let it go. And then it might take 45 seconds, and then it might take 30 seconds. And then it might take 10 minutes before you realize, and then you just let it go anyways because you've practiced enough letting things go like that.
There's a real good book I'll recommend to you. It's kind of fun. I just finished this book. It's a really weird book, but it's really good, actually. It's called, and it's a very strange name. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Dr. Joe?
Dr. Joe. But I'm actually going to do a video today on the book review of it. But it's like a book that after listening to this book, I feel like everyone should read this book just because it's so awesome. It's again, I'll just give the name. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself: How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. And it's got some woo-woo in there, but it's also very neuroscience based as well. So it kind of combines the two worlds. That's why I like the book so much. And it's kind of what Derick was saying. It's like retraining yourself, and this is what I was talking about today about the autopilot programs. Like most of us are running, like 95% of what we do is on autopilot. Like we're just executing programs that we're used to, trained from emotional states that we just execute when we have a certain stimulus. And so we have to retrain those states. And I think just understanding that most people are running that way and the world is running that way kind of helps as well, because then you don't get as stressed out about this kind of stuff. But one thing I'd caution to is just to watch out with the mindset. Like right now you're you're saying, okay, I'm burned out, or I've been burned out, or the kind of verbiage that you're using is more likely to keep you in that state. Don't think of it that way. Like if you continue to think I'm burnt out right now, man, I'm so under so much stress, man, all this shit is happening, then it will continue to happen because you're kind of propagating it just by having that belief. Whereas if you shift the belief and you say, there's a lot of interesting challenges that are happening right now. I mean, however you want to view it, or like, I'm not even close to burnout. Like, I am ready to like fucking run up this hill. You know what I mean? Like I know that it's hard because you don't feel that way, but if you talk yourself that way, then it's going to be a lot more helpful to you in your state than the other. Because if you continue down that, you keep on saying that, then you will continue to be in that state. You have to somehow break the cycle.
Well, and what I've been doing is I sit down and I'm like, okay, well, what do I have to do to fix this? You know, what do I have to do to get through this? And the problem is then I sit down and I just stare at my computer for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because I can't, you know, I have exhausted all of my mental and emotional energy, and I don't have anything else to give. And so then I get frustrated, and then I'm back into that cycle, and it's
And you have to break that cycle. You have to allow yourself to just walk away for a couple of hours, for even a day or two when you need to, like what you're going to do Monday and Tuesday you were talking about. You have to let yourself do it more frequently, though. When you find yourself getting to that state where you just sit down at your computer and you stare at it for 2 hours and you can't do anything, you know, I've got this bed sitting right behind me. It's fairly regular that I'll be in the middle of something and I'll just, you know, hit screen lock and just fall down on the bed right there for 20, 30 minutes. And I wake up and I'm feeling a million times better. The chaos in my head has calmed down and I can see what's going on. And it's, you know, I can push forward for the next hour or two or whatever it is in order to just continue making progress toward fixing whatever is causing the problem.
The other thing, one thing that has helped me in the past a lot when I get to that point, totally agree with what Derick's saying there. But another thing that helps me sometimes is journaling, and pretty much just like embracing what's going on in your head, and starting there, because what I find, you don't want to wallow there, but what I find is when I start there and just sort of get it out, then it's like it sort of occupies the front part of my brain, and then the back, you know, in the back of my head, I'm starting to think about solutions. But when you just sit there, it's like sort of like telling yourself to be creative. Like that's just, you're never gonna, it's impossible, right? As soon as you start thinking about that, you know, all your creativity is gone. So just sort of like embracing what you're feeling and just getting it out on paper, or sometimes just typing, for me really helps. And before you know it, like you start to have stuff coming to you. So what both of those have in common is engaging the subconscious more, versus trying to just beat your head against the wall and fix your problem with brute force.
I actually had a good quote here. Another good book. I'm actually reading this book, so I can't totally recommend it. It's called Your Erroneous Zones, not Your Erogenous Zones. Your
Those are different, huh?
Yes. Don't get the other book is pretty good too, but Your Erroneous Zones. This one's by like what's his name, Dr.
Phil
Wayne Dyer. So I was highlighting this book like crazy. Let me see here real quick. It's got because he had something specifically dealing with problems, like right in the first chapter, and
I've seen that title somewhere. Is that a recent book?
No, it's really old. It's like, I think 60s.
Okay.
Dr. Wayne Dyer died like I think like 4 or 5 years ago. He's written 50 books.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen that title somewhere very recently.
Yeah, he was James Altucher interviewed him about
Your Erroneous Zones?
Erroneous Zones.
John's a genius, but he's only partially literate.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Yes. Only let's see. Okay, so he says that. Oh, here you go. Here, I'll just read this. Perhaps you'll be surprised to learn that there is no such thing as a nervous breakdown. Nerves don't break down. Cut someone open and look for broken nerves. They never show up. Intelligent
Except
people
for the place where you cut.
Right. I was thinking when I read that, I was like, if you don't cut carefully.
Welcome to the Entre Smartass Show.
There we go.
Yes.
But
Derek's
says,
meds are definitely working.
but they never show up. Intelligent people do not have nervous breakdowns because they are in charge of themselves. And here's the quote. They know how to choose happiness over depression because they know how to deal with the problems of their lives. Notice I didn't say solve the problems. Rather than measuring their intelligence on their ability to solve the problems, they measure it on their capacity for maintaining themselves as happy and worthy, whether the problem gets solved or not. Which I thought was pretty cool. And there's another quote just a little bit further down where he said, those who recognize problems as a human condition and don't measure happiness by the absence of problems are the most intelligent kind of humans we know. So that I thought that was really cool because it's like you don't have to solve the problems. The challenge in life is maintaining your cool while dealing with the problems, because you can't guarantee that you're going to solve the problems. Not all of the problems in your life are going to be solved, but what you can control, the only thing you can control, is your own state, and you can guarantee that you can deal with problems effectively, not necessarily solve them. And when you take that viewpoint, I mean, it's a slight shift. Then, because there's a lot of pressure in solving problems, especially when you don't have the control, because you can't ultimately decide whether the problem gets solved or not. You can only take some actions and some steps to deal with it. But when you make that shift and you say, okay, my challenge, my focus, my ability is going towards dealing with the problem while maintaining my state, that becomes a challenge that you can accomplish, that you can do, and puts a lot less pressure on you, right? I mean, when I think the biggest thing that causes that whole, state is when you have something that you feel like, in fact, this is what causes procrastination. Like anytime you're procrastinating, it's usually because of one of two things. You usually feel like there's something that you have to get done that you don't have enough time or capacity to do. And that automatically puts you in the procrastination zone, because, if you feel like you can do it and you've got the time to do it, you probably do it. It's when you feel like you don't, then you don't do it. You do nothing instead. At least that's what I found. So I think, I don't know. I found that was a good quote and a good way of thinking about it. So.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that was my
procrastination zone. Is that kind of like the friend zone? You're neither here nor there. You're just kind of stuck in the middle somewhere, and you don't want to be there anymore, but you don't know how to get out of there.
That was the rest of my week. I had that.
Yeah.
The friend zone. That was the rest of your week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
I mean, I had that freak out, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I really didn't get a whole lot done because I was just trying to get over everything.
Yeah. The other thing I'd always have to remind myself too is like, I firmly believe like the only cure for depression is hard ass work.
Yeah.
Because what I found is like the only thing that like makes me happy is I'm like, sometimes I'm in this funk and this mood, and then I like do some hard ass work, and then I'm like, man, that feels really damn good. And I'm like, why don't I always do this because when you're feeling depressed, that's when you feel like not doing hard ass work. And so that's the only thing that seems to lift me out of the state generally. So, but that's the one thing that you don't want to do, right? Because you're like, man, I just need to chill. I just need to relax. I just need to like take some time and get my head straight. And that's, I'm not saying that you don't ever need time to do that, but I'm just saying that when it's because of that, that's when you end up, like you said, sitting at the computer for 2 hours, and what happened? Nothing happened.
Yep.
But if it's all gravy, if you take all the pressure off and you just say, then you can execute a lot better, I think. But
so on the similar subject of I guess panic attacks, anxiety, getting back to my meds and recovery and stuff, we upped my doubled my dose on the meds 2 weeks ago now, and I've noticed a significant difference between where I was 2 weeks ago and now. I feel like I am me again, like wholly me again, not just, oh, I'm getting better, but like, wow, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be like. All of these things that I don't like about myself are here again. I see my character flaws again, not the depression and anxiety. But I found it interesting that this week there were several situations where I really felt the pressure from this new contract, just because I'm so new there and I don't know the personal inner workings of the relationships and people and dynamics and all that kind of stuff there. And so it was like legitimately stressful for me to be in some of these conversations, because I'm still figuring that stuff out, and I don't know if I need to take some people literally or if they're just blowing hard because that's what they do. Or so it's stressful. And then I had the realization, like, wow, this is just stress. This is not turning into a giant pile of anxiety crippling me for hours or days on end. I'm feeling the stress, and I'm okay with that. I know how to deal with stress. Stress is easy, but it didn't turn into anxiety. It didn't turn into that crippling sort of horrible feeling anymore. And so for me, that was just just one more sign that, hey, I'm doing the right things by getting the help that I needed and getting the meds to help push me through this, and continuing to see my therapist and talk to my doctor and make sure that we're doing the things that are right for me to do. And in Chuck's case, you're probably not ready for meds, probably nowhere even close to that. Probably the couple of days off, the trying to take what John was saying to heart by recognizing that some things are just going to happen, and realizing that we do just need to continue to live our lives in spite of the problems that we run into, and continue to move forward. Now, maybe that's going to be what you need right now. But doing what you need to take care of yourself, that's ultimately what we should all be looking for here. Not listening to me or anyone else to say this is how I did it, so it has to work for everyone else, but using what other people say worked for them and experimenting with it and figuring out what works for you, because there's so much diversity in our brain chemistry and physiology and everything else, that it's going to be a combination of different things from different people.
It's interesting too. I think that one of the concepts, like you recognize your stress because you're an observer. You observed yourself, right? I mean, that's one of the key things to break that. That's like that metacognition, right? It's like you're stepping one step removed, and you recognize that you're having angry emotions or stressed emotions, or you're feeling down. But you're one step removed. You're not the person experiencing the thing. You're the person watching the person experiencing the thing. And then it allows you to actually break that, because I think there's an Einstein quote. Didn't Einstein say that the same level of
you can't solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it?
Exactly. Right. But yeah, and that's very true. But yeah.
All right, sounds like a good place to wrap things up, unless anybody else has anything else.
Now, the only other thing that I get from this, and you've talked about this, Derick, with your what you've been going through, is just that I feel guilty too, like taking a couple days off. Well,
yeah,
my wife could use a couple days off. And if I go take a couple days off, I'm still gonna do a couple of podcasts and things, but it's I need to be working to solve some of these problems, and so I feel guilty about that too. And I understand why I need to do what I need to do, but at the same time, there's some other emotion and stress tied up in it, because it seems like the right thing to do, but at the same time, it seems like it's not quite the right thing to do.
I think it's the wrong thing to do. I'll tell you why, for a couple of reasons. One, because it's going to set you back further. And two, because I think someone else, it might be the right thing to do, but the fact that you feel guilty about it is going to mean that you're going to spend 3 days feeling guilty. And that's, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't relax and don't take a break, but you're not going to be relaxing. You're going to be stressing out. So I think that you should take the 3 days, but I think you should push it further in the future for when, and set some kind of goal so that you can, because right now you're behind. And you're not going to, you're just going to feel more stressed and you're going to be more behind, right? I mean, I'm speaking from having made this mistake. And so what I would suggest that you do is that you say, okay, here's a goal. I need to accomplish this and get this done. And then as soon as this gets done, then I'm going to take 3 days off, and that'll be my reward for achieving this goal. And then, what you have to do is honestly evaluate in your mind whether or not you can accept that as an adequate reward for hitting that goal. Because if you can't, then again, you're going to have the same problem where you're going to take 3 days and you're going to feel like you're going to be in this zone of feeling guilty because you're not working, and feeling guilty because you should be relaxing and you're wasting the time and you're not relaxing. And if you're not relaxing, you might as well be working. And so now you're just stuck, right? So
100% agree with that. If you can't legitimately let go and be relaxed for those 3 days, then you shouldn't be doing that.
So one other thing that I've thought about doing, because I don't know if I can. One other thing that I have considered with this is, instead of just taking 2 days and going, forget everything, is one of the things that is driving me crazy is just the feeling that I'm just kind of randomly grabbing anything I can. It's like somebody who's drowning, right? I mean, anything that comes close, you push it under the water. And you learn that as a lifeguard, right? You put everything in front of that person except yourself first to try and save them. So I have thought about doing something that's more along the lines of the professional retreat that Sherry Walling has talked about several times, where I just sit down and, like, that first day, I just make a plan. It's like, look, this is the stuff that I have to get done. It'd be a change of pace for me, and going and, taking advantage of my friend letting me use her condo. I could do that.
Sounds like a great idea.
A working holiday.
Yeah, and so then essentially the rest of it. So I give myself a little bit of permission, right? So I can sleep in, I can, relax a little bit. I'm not going hard charging completely crazy. So if I watch a movie that night or something, I don't feel bad.
Right.
But then on Tuesday, so Monday I do the planning and just kind of maybe catch up on a little bit of sleep, and then on Tuesday I just go and I execute on this plan and just hit it head on.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
that sounds
I like that.
I think that's a really good approach. And you mentioned a minute ago, your wife needs time off as well. Maybe your wife is in a better emotional state right now where she can cover for you being at that condo for a couple of days. And then maybe in a month or a week or however long it is, you'll be in a state where you can manage the kids for a couple of days and your wife can have that time off. My wife and I, we came to an arrangement like that a long time ago, just because for me, I get overwhelmed when I'm around a lot of noisy people for too long. I have a certain level of capacity for which I can handle that. But my wife has a lot of work to do, and she has, she wants time off as well. So I very often take the kids during the week. After school, I pick them up. I help deal with showers and getting ready for bed and stuff. And I spend a lot of time dealing with my kids during the week, because I can handle it for the 2 or 3 hours at a time in the evenings. I can't handle all day on Saturday and all day on Sunday, but that's pretty easy for my wife to do. I'm not saying I don't ever spend time with my kids on the weekend, but it's a pretty regular occurrence for me to do a little extra, a little more during the week, because I can, And then my wife will take the kids for 4 or 5, even 6 hours sometimes on a Saturday. And we'll do like, something with the family on Sunday and then make the kids play by themselves for a while or whatever. So you can find arrangements. While you may need something big right now to do this retreat and get your head back in the game and give yourself a change of pace and a change of locations to break the daily cycles and routines so that you can do that. You might need that big thing right now. Finding something smaller that you can do on a more regular basis so that you can continue to recharge over time, instead of waiting until your axe is nothing but a wooden stick that you're hitting trees with. You're sharpening the axe on a regular basis and replacing the axe head.
I'm registering hitting trees with wooden stick with sticks, now. Yes. .com.
Hitting trees with sticks.
Scare the bears away that way.
Hittingtreeswithwoodensticks.com, a story into my dark descent into darkness.
A dark story into my dark sense. A dark story of my dark. The dark story of my dark descent into darkness. Yeah. That's the subtitle.
Or it could be alternative version: hitting trees with sticks and running away.
Actually, now that I think about it, hitting trees with sticks might already be registered, and I don't think I'm going to go there. So,
I'm not sure what Josh is thinking, but I can guess what he's thinking. Hitting trees with sticks.
All right, I think we've descended into let's do thoughts.
Okay, it's a web comic.
All right,
okay.
I got one more thing.
But it literally is the logo is a picture of a guy hitting a tree with a stick.
That's awesome, man.
That's pretty awesome.
I got one more thing. I was actually going to recommend another book, but that's just going to pile more crap on you guys. So I'm just going to read because I was going to say the first chapter of this book, but there's a section in here this is like totally another one of those click mindset things. It's very similar to what I was talking about before. The book is called The Way of the Superior Man. It's by David Data. And the book starts off like this, basically solving, what is every guy's problem, which is the chapter 1 is called Stop Hoping for Completion of Anything in Life. And he starts off by saying, most men make the error of thinking that one day it will be done. They think, if I can work enough, then one day I could rest. Or one day my woman will understand something, then she will stop complaining. Or I'm only doing this now so that one day I can do what I really want with my life. The masculine error is to think that eventually things will be different in some fundamental way. They won't. It never ends. As long as life continues, the creative challenge is to tussle, play, and make love with the present moment while giving your unique gift. And he goes on to say, it's never going to be over, so stop waiting for the good stuff. As of now, spend a minimum of 1 hour a day doing whatever you're waiting to do until your finances are more secure, until the children have grown and left home, or until you have finished your obligations and feel free to do what you really want to do. Don't wait any longer. Don't believe in the myth of one day when everything will be different. Do what you love to do, what you're waiting to do, what you've been born to do now. And he goes on a little bit more, but essentially that first part is really the critical. It's something that I think about all the time, especially when with my crazy workouts and running, and sometimes I'm like, man, like running 2 hours, 4 times a week when I'm doing that training or hitting the gym, and it's like, no, every day, like there's no end, like it doesn't end. Like if I have the mindset in my head, like if I'm training 14 hours a week and my mindset is, wow, I can't wait till I hit my goal so I can be done with this, then I'm done. I'm dead. I'm not getting up the next day and running for 2 hours, running 10 more miles. It's not happening. But if my mindset is such that this never ends, every day there's going to be new problems. Every day I start over again. It's another 2-hour workout. Every day there's new challenges. Every day I've got new problems to tackle and going to go. If I'm not waiting for it to end, that's a totally different mindset. And that's the mindset that like I can keep on going forever. But it's just that simple shift between those two mindsets. Like, and I think that most men, have that mindset, like we struggle with this, like we want things to be finished, to be completed, to say, when this is done, then I can rest. And if you have that mindset and you're waiting, then you feel like, oh, I'm so tired. I so much need a rest. But if you switch the mindset and you're like, no, every day the battle begins anew, every single fucking day. Every day is a challenge. Every single day I've got to go and tackle it and the sandcastle gets swept away by the waves, and I got to rebuild the sandcastle every single day. I know the tide is coming every single day. If that's your mindset, that's a much better, healthier mindset that's going to get you through your problems versus the other one, which was something I struggled with for such a long time. And when I heard that, like that Tony Robbins quote I told you, and then read this book, that really shifted my mindset in that. And so now I see every single day as a challenge that the battle begins anew, if that makes sense. And that's my thought for the day, actually. So there you go.
Nice.
My thought for the day will be what I said to Chuck a minute ago about, listen to other people and their experience, but find out what works best for you based on what other people have done.
Yeah, for me, a lot of the way that I've been coping with this is a mix of like, I'll go lay down for a half hour or an hour, and then I'll come back and I can get a little bit more done. But the other thing is just having a plan, I think, is really going to make a big difference. And, I know I've probably had thoughts on this similar before, but otherwise I just feel like I'm running around like a crazy person, not getting anything done. So
I have no thoughts. I'm taking vacation next week, so
nice.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yep, nice.
I want my freaking monitor. As a reward for doing the book launch, I decided to finally stop working on my 13-inch MacBook screen, and I went the other way. I ordered a 34-inch wraparound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it was supposed to be here on Sunday, and it didn't come. And so I called Amazon on Thursday, and they were like, it was in Pittsburgh. And it never made it here. And then, so they shipped out a replacement, and it's supposed to be here like next weekend. So,
somebody probably stole it.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of things end up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So
I want to see pictures when you get it.
I'll have to send some.
Just try to keep your pants on in the pictures.
All right. Next week, I'll see you guys. I'll be in Italy.
All right. I probably won't be here. We'll see.
Okay. Yep. All right. See you guys.
All righty.
Bye.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derick as we figure it out. We are the EntreProgrammers, and we'll teach you straight